The Champions League draw is out. There's a Neymar update. Pochettino could leave Spurs. We've got Friday feels and a transfer roundup all coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Froelich, you are the Onefootballers, and this, on location somewhere in Germany, is the Daily News. First up, and to a rather interesting night at the Champions League draw, which also included the awards for the UEFA Men's Best Player of the Year. Van Dijk won that, and deservedly so. A fantastic performance throughout the year saw him lift the Champions League trophy. Elsewhere, Cristiano Ronaldo rather oddly invited Lionel Messi for dinner. Eric Cantona gave a bizarre speech on stage, and last but not least, the draw for the Champions League group stages was made. So, Ajax, last season's semi-finalists who so nearly got to the final, but draw alongside Chelsea and Valencia in an interesting group. Dortmund have it really tough alongside Inter Milan and Borussia Dortmund. There's Real Madrid and PSG going to come up against each other, and Alfonso Areola and Keylor Navas are potentially swapping clubs in the next few days. As for Spurs, their reward for getting into the Champions League group stage is a trip to Bayern Munich alongside Olympiacos and Red Star Belgrade. And alongside this, Liverpool face Napoli, much like they did last season, as they'll be hoping to get to a third consecutive final. So next up, we come to a quick Neymar update. Because we have to, because there's a few more days left for the transfer window, and the most second ridiculous deal of all time, the first being Neymar's original deal, could potentially happen. There are a few difficult bits to iron out though. Basically, here's the deal. PSG want a lot of money and a few players. Barcelona are happy to do this, but none of their players actually want to go. Ousmane Dembele has been spoken about on a season-long loan. He doesn't want to leave the club. Jean-Claude Todibo, who was only signed last season, doesn't want to leave. Neither does Ivan Rakitic. So they've decided to go for cash. The only problem is, whilst they've agreed an evaluation of about 200 million euros, 22 million euros less than he originally moved for, Barcelona do not have that kind of money to spend. They'll probably have to go for a loan deal, which means they can offset the bulk of the money for next summer. It's all getting a bit confusing, and it doesn't really look like something that can be ironed out with the last 3 days of the transfer window coming up. Of course, you're going to have to watch this space, and yes, I know it's another Neymar piece, but I've got to talk about it. It's not like it's a small-time move for small amounts of money. But away from that Neymar nonsense just for a bit, and to some rather unexpected news coming out of England, that lots of betting shops have reported that they are no longer taking any bets on Mauricio Pochettino to leave the club. According to reports, Pochettino could be leaving after Sunday's North London derby, regardless of the score. Although I do find it hard to believe that if they win 5-0, he'll be ready to walk away. Pochettino has, of course, done a brilliant job at Spurs, but after apparent rumblings and arguments with Daniel Levy over club signings in the summer and players that they can't renew on new contracts, mainly Vertonghen and Eriksen, it looks like they could be at a bit of a stalemate. On the Vertonghen story, though, there is rumours that Bayer Leverkusen are interested, and with the offer of Champions League football and the fact that Jan Vertonghen's contract runs out next summer, he could be tempted to make the move. He isn't in the first team at the moment for reasons that are completely beyond me and anyone else apart from Mauricio Pochettino, so with Sanchez and Alderweireld also looking likely to get a new contract, Vertonghen may take his chances at moving to the Bundesliga. So next up, we come to a quick roundup of the rest of the transfer news and rumours. Jurgen Locadia, the Brighton winger/forward, has joined Hoffenheim on a season-long loan. Michy Batshuayi could be set for his 4th loan away from Stamford Bridge, as Napoli are reportedly interested. Kasper Dolberg, the former Ajax forward, has completed his move to Nice around 20 million euros. And rather unbelievably and ridiculously, Chris Smalling looks to be heading on his way to Roma for a loan deal which would cost him around 3 million euros. Poor Roma. So lastly but not least, we come to today's Friday Feels, and this is probably the best Friday Feels we've ever had. There is a triple derby blockbuster weekend. First off, and there's the Rome derby, Lazio against Rome. I'm going for a 2-1 victory for Lazio. Next up, there's the North London derby. My head says that Arsenal are going to win, but my heart, of course, goes to Spurs. So in the end, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. And lastly but not least, Daniele De Rossi faces his first derby between Boca and River Plate, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory for De Rossi's Boca. Of course, those two teams have also been drawn alongside each other in the Copa Libertadores, which is South America's version of the Champions League. So there you have it from me today. Let me know all of your thoughts down in the comment section below, and all of your Friday Feels. Whilst you're down there, you can smash the like button and click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on Onefootball. But until next time, I will see you guys later. Have a great weekend.